Okay, pretty big news today as Triumph has announced their intentions to go racing and how they're going to do it in the United States, but it won't actually start until Anaheim in 2024. And they've announced they're going to race to 250 class, and then in 2025 they have plans to race in the 450 division. Now, we've heard for a couple years now that Triumph was planning on coming into the sport. I know everybody wants to see the motorcycle really badly. They still have not revealed that. But what they did reveal today is the staff behind the racing effort. We already knew Ricky Carmichael has been involved for a long time, but now Bobby Hewitt has been announced as the team principal for the racing team, and Scuba Steve Westfall will be the team manager. Now, Hewitt and Westfall had a lot of success with the Rockstar Energy racing teams, primarily with Husqvarna through the years. That's really experienced people coming into the Triumph project. And then behind the scenes, they have Dudley and Dave Arnold, who are legends as far as their development of motorcycles. Dave Arnold was the team manager in Honda's glory days through the 80s and 90s. They're involved with this project too. So let's get a little more in-depth with a murderer's row of talent helping to try to bring Triumph to Anaheim to race in 24. First, Jeremy, just give me the actual timeline. You did make some announcements today of when we expect to see bikes on the track.
Yes, we're expecting to be on the track. Well, we're not just expecting, we are going to be on the track here in January 24. So we're just over a year out. Big day for Triumph. Yes. Really big day.
And the big announcement today is a lot of the experienced hands that we know well in this industry as being part of this racing program. So what does that say about Triumph to pick outsiders to their brand, but insiders of motocross to be part of the project?
Well, we, as Triumph, have a long history. We've raced all over the world in many different disciplines, but never in motocross and certainly not Supercross. And we knew the level of competition we're going up against. So the plan has always been to bring on the best people to help us go racing. There is a lot to learn. We're not only building a brand new motorcycle, which is a fully conceived, designed and developed Triumph. We're going racing in an environment that we're not familiar with. So we need the best people to go up against some extremely strong competition.
What does it say about Triumph to not just pick internally, but to look for external experienced motocross people to be part of this project?
I think it says quite a bit about Triumph, selecting external people that have been involved in the industry. I mean, obviously going through the selection process, they did their due diligence. Extremely humbled that, as I've said, I didn't think I'd be the last man standing knowing who was all being interviewed. But for whatever reason, and I'm extremely grateful, I was the final selection on it. And it's just like building a program. I always say we have mutual respect for each other. There's no dumb question or any of that, but everybody's egos checked at the front door. And we work together as a group, and together as a group, we become stronger. And that's the one thing that I like about Triumph is that, their integrity, their principles, the things, their company belief. And if you ever do get the chance to visit their corporate office, you can see it right away. I mean, it's a complete team effort. But they have that same mindset as a corporation, to go, hey, we know a lot about racing. We know a lot about building motorcycles. We don't know a lot about Supercross or pro motocross or the off-road. So, to be able to check that at the front door and go out and research and do your due diligence and, for me to have the freedom to put together a program and put together the staff on it, it's been a great partnership.
So, Scuba, how do you end up in this position here?
Well, oddly enough, I was on the Pulp Show, and Michael Lindsay said, "Oh, you're going to Triumph," and I said, that's a new one." The next day, they actually called me, so I was like, okay. And I kind of talked a little bit, and we had talked, and I met with them actually when they were here for Anaheim too, and just kind of met and talked, and was a little unsure, because I still had a couple other things, did I want to do it? Did I not want to do it? And to be perfectly honest with you, still was up in the air. But I was dead set on moving to Georgia. I've always liked it, loved it, and that's just more home for me, I guess. And my wife fell in love with it, and so did the kids, so that's where we moved. And oddly enough, they're there. I know people kind of try to put it all together, but it really wasn't that way. I was really, truly done. Like, I wouldn't say done, but I needed a break. I needed to spend some time with my kids. And then after I went over, they flew me over there the end of March. And I was like, all right, I think this is it. It's time. And I also have time to spend a lot of time with my family as well. So it's worked out pretty good.
Your role, you're going to be team manager. I know there's a lot about the team we cannot announce yet. We don't know the riders or anything like that, but just give us an idea of what you are working on, at least what class and when we expect to see bikes.
So working on development and everything of the bike. It will be a 250 first. I'll still assume a crew chief role as well, so I'll be able to help and develop and do things that I enjoy doing, right? Like, and that was the biggest thing for me, like being able to think and just get it.
We're getting closer and closer. This is exciting times. I know we can't talk about the motorcycle necessarily yet, but what we're seeing is a lot of experienced people in the motocross space involved with this project, starting with you, but there's a lot more now.
Yeah, there's a lot more. This is a very fun time to finally announce the Triumph Racing America team. It's been a long time waiting throughout the whole due diligence process with Triumph and interviewing a whole bunch of teams and possible team principals. For me, it was a no-brainer to bring Bobby Hewitt and team on. You look at his credentials, winning at the premier level in Super Motocross World Championship. That just says enough right there. Now, the people that he has on his roster of team personnel, guys that are great developing a bike, it certainly has been a fun process. And I'm not just a brand ambassador. I also feel like I have kind of a GM role, so it's been a lot of fun.
What's the point of all this is that they're choosing to use experienced motocross people instead of doing it internally. So what does that say about their vision to say, we're new to the space, we're going to find people who have experience in motocross and supercross?
When I heard rumor of anyone but Triumph, it looks so simple, and a lot of other manufacturers that looks simple. We're going to get in and make a motocross bike, and it's going to be better. But it's tricky. You see very established players not always getting it right, and then it takes them a while to sort things out within racing. And so I think for Triumph, not just myself, I have that background, but at the same time, you have a lot of engineers with a lot of technical education and experience and capabilities, but I think it's smart if you balance that out with the practical applications. Some guys that have a racing background, you just learn things in racing that may or may not have proofed out during like a engineering analysis. So, yeah, I think it says a lot that they're just looking to get it right the first time out.
And what is your role with the brand this time?
I'm kind of the project leader for chassis development for U.S. racing, but it's a hand-in-hand, a pretty strong relation or a direct relationship with engineering in England. So I'm mainly in charge of chassis development.
Give us your background in motorcycling, because Triumph really is trying to assemble a group of experienced people from outside their brand to make this motocross project work.
Okay, so basically I started in motorcycling when I was 15 years old. Started road racing, won a championship when I was 19, South African championship, and been involved in road racing for 30 years, working in Europe on Grand Prix racing with Honda, Aprilia, and I've been in Japan with Kawasaki. And then I moved to the United States and started working on motocross projects.
Okay. So what does it say about Triumph to bring someone with experience for so many decades into their project instead of just using their own internal people?
Yeah, so I'd retired, and Bobby Hewitt contacted me and wanted me to come aboard on this project. So, and mentioned was Triumph and a new project, so that was the excitement. And, I was interested in learning what it's going to take to build a championship-winning motorcycle. And that brought me out of retirement. That's how I'm here today.
Yeah, what is your role right now?
I'm head of the Powertrain development for Supercross and Motocross USA.
Yeah, and I asked Dave the same question. Is that just for racing, or is it production, or is it all melded together? How does that part work on the powertrain development?
On my side, it's for racing, and I'm sure whatever is learned from it will be transferred.
Yeah.
So mainly racing, yeah.